Welcome to Following On as we look back at day 3 of the 4th Test match between England and India, with the home side closing on a dominant 544 for 7. They scored 319 runs in the day, having resumed at 225 for 2. Once again, the imperious Joe Root has claimed the headlines for not just himself. There were a few other fine performances on a dominant day for England, but his 38th Test 100, a magnificent exhibition of skill and patience on a difficult surface. 150 exactly, and in the process he passed Rahul Dravid, Jacques Kallis and Ricky Ponting to move into second place by himself, still just over 2,500 runs behind the all-time Test run scorer Sachin Tendulkar. But there are those who say it is just a matter of time before the great Joe Root passes Tendulkar to become the most prolific of all time. The match situation is that England are leading by 186 runs, with Ben Stokes, who retired hurt on cramp on 66, returning to finish unbeaten on 77. He might become just the 5th Test captain of all time to take a 5-wicket haul and score 100 in the same Test match. The most recent was Imran Khan, not Wasim Akram. So a very rare feat. He's had a brilliant Test match. Steve Harmison is alongside me to look back at a day of good old attritional grind, and my goodness, whereas India let slip their advantage at Headingley, England are not likely to make the same mistake, judging by their approach today.
No, I don't think so. I think India are gone. They're a shot force. I think their body language, I think the way they've bowled, I think their mentality, unfortunately, in a world where 5 Test matches in a series is rare, I think it's starting to show, and the cracks are starting to appear for India, with not only with selection but their performance and everything that they've thrown at this Test match so far. Their batting was okay, it was just on par, and possibly some would say below par, but their bowling was well below par. Even the great Jasper Bumrah has had a struggle, and whatever England get, whether it's 210, 220, if Stokes goes on and gets whatever he needs to get, I think, 24 runs to go and get that 100 and the 5 foot in the Test match, it'll just energise this England team to go out and potentially finish the job off tomorrow and win the series. And there'll be people out there, especially from our Indian friends, who will go, well, India have scored more runs, they're more dominant in wickets and everything like that. But when identification of when games are in the balance to win, this England team, for me, have seized their moments.
More top order runs and more new ball wickets, but it's the big moments, isn't it? How many times have we said it's the big moment, identifying first of all those big moments and then seizing them. Must point out that Ollie Pope was another significant contributor today, 71 from 128 balls. As I say, Stokes finishing unbeaten on 77 at the close of play. 2 wickets apiece for Ravi Jadeja and for Washington Sundar. But for whatever the reasons, Harmy, it just seems that India's selection, and you touched on it, and I don't know how much more deeply we can go into it, but the selection of Anshul Kamboj over Prasidh Krishna, who was part of the original squad, and Shardul Thakur, it just looked today on a featherbed of a pitch as if they've selected 2 pillows to go into a gunfight.
Yeah, 2 pillars in the gunfight. Yeah, I think, and that pillar had holes in it. I mean, it had been shot a few times with the holes. I tell you, with the gunfight. I mean,
125 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, and I thought Shardul Thakur would have hit the pitch harder than he actually has. I thought he would have been a little bit more of a handful on here than what he's actually shown, and it just shows. I've been second guessing India home and away for quite a number of years now, working as a broadcaster. When they've come here in the past, I've always felt they've picked the wrong team, and when they've when you think the logic with their selection or some of their game plans, it goes out the window, because you do scratch your head sometimes, and that even with Rohit Sharma as captain and Virat Kohli as captain before that. So Shubman Gill will come in a lot of criticism for this in this Test match, and I think it'll be unjustified, because at the end of the day, The only thing I will criticise him for is the selection of bowlers, if he was the one that was picking them bowlers. Because at the end of the day, as a captain, you're only as good as your bowlers, and your bowlers have been poor. Two spinners have been a little bit of effective in the middle of the afternoon, slowing the game down. But no, for me, today was all about England. And what more can you say about the greatest that we've ever produced? And today he's gone past Ricky Ponting, and I think it'll be a relief that he's gone past Ricky Ponting, because now people will leave him alone. For the last, I would say, 12 months, all England, all the talk from Joe Root's point of view has been about the records that where he's standing, Sachin's record, and the people that he's got to go and knock off to get to that. And the other bugbear that people have been having a go at him is, to be the greatest, he's got to get the 100 in Australia. But that's to come. But today he went past Ricky Ponting. He's now second. He's a long way from Sachin, but over the course of the next 3 or 4 years he'll eke that out, and I think he'll go past him. But what he's done today, hopefully, has now just got everybody just talking about something different, something away from it. It is a ridiculous achievement by our greatest, and one, I think, when the team needed him this afternoon, he took the sting out of the Indian attack. And I thought, along with the captain, the two of them in the afternoon, especially when the two spinners were bowling, weathered the storm, came out the other side, and put England into I think, a commanding and unassailable position.
Unassailable, I think, is probably the right word. 186 runs. Just a few other numbers. I mean, it's Joe Root. We can't not talk about the numbers, although he's so much more than a stats man. Would you agree that 20 Test centuries is still the benchmark for greatness? There's no ordinary players with 20 centuries. The reason I ask is, of his 38, 21 have come in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a great player hanging on. Ricky Ponting had the good grace to say that he was in decline when he passed 13,000 runs. For the last year, he was struggling. He only scored Joe Root has scored 21 hundreds of his 38 in the last 4 years. And do you know what special record he broke today with partnership with Ravi Jadeja? Most runs by a batsman off a single bowler.
Of a single bowler, yeah.
But Jadeja has got him out 9 times. In second place, Steve Smith against Stuart Broad, with so 588 of Joe's runs, and Jadeja has played in all 12 of Joe's hundreds against India, so it's fair enough that he shares that record. You know, I don't think Ravi Jadeja will mind that at all. As I said, he's got him out 9 times. But I mean, this is a great player, still going up.
Still going up at the age of 34. In the last 4 years, I think of the first part of that last 4 years, he was carrying a team, and I think for the last 2.5 years, 3 years, I think he's reveling in a team. I think he is. He is loving. I think that first part of that 4 year period, he was having to carry a team, and he wasn't enjoying his cricket. He wasn't. I mean, standing on the field talking to him in St Lucia or Grenada, when he was about to relinquish the captaincy, that was a broken man. And some would have argued that if you had said in 3 years' time you're going to have over 20 odd hundreds in that period, I think even Joe would have laughed at you, because yes, he backs his ability, yes, he backs his technique, yes, he backs the fact that playing for England is the ultimate, and his professionalism is ridiculous. But I'm not sure he would have thought the numbers were possible with what potentially was on the horizon, because nobody could expect McCullum coming in. Nobody could expect Stokes coming in. And I don't think anybody could expect the way the team was going to be transformed in that way. And the person who was going to be front and centre of it, and everybody batting around it, was Joe. So it's brilliant. We've said so many great things about that man, and when it comes, when he eventually goes past Sachin in a few years' time, he will be regarded as the greatest, and we are going to be so proud that we've got him in our lifetime. I am so proud of him, because I've seen him from such a young age, and I identified that this person is special, not this cricketer is special. this person is special, because as good as he is on it, he is off it, and we see what he does around with all the causes and either charities or supporters or young people. I mean, he is a special human being, and we have got to be thankful not only that we're watching him and we've got him as ours, but we've got to. I think we've got to enjoy the fact, because it won't last forever. He's probably got 3 years left, 4 years left in him. That's when he goes past Sachin. He's once in a generation as Joe Root, and it was brilliant to be here today to see him go past Ricky Ponting and now put England in a position to go 3-1 up in a series where before the series was started, this was a Big Ten Test matches for the McCullum-Stokes era, and Joe Root has stood up for his best mate in nearly every single moment of this series, and they're just riding that wave, and it's brilliant to see.
150 today from 248 balls and just 14 fours. It was one of the hardest working innings that I've certainly seen Joe Root play. It wasn't conducive to big stroke making. I just love the idea that Joe, as you said, was driving the bus metaphorically, literally maybe, I'm not sure, but he was driving the bus. He was in charge. He had the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. And since Ben Stokes has come over, he said, "Joe, I'll drive. You sit wherever you like in the bus. You do whatever you like. This time is yours." And my goodness me, he's cashed in. But he was tired at the end, very obviously tired. He ran over 70 singles. That's hard work. He usually has a higher boundary percentage than 14 out of 150. He was stumped in the end, and almost tripped over the ball as the substitute keeper, Dhruv Jurel, was throwing it to the keeper. But a memorable innings, and as I said, 12 hundreds against India, and he's now scored more runs against India than anyone else in history, and he might well have scored more runs against everybody in history in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, in a couple of years' time, and I think it showed when he got out. When he walked off the field, that was a tired body, and you obviously go on to Ben Stokes. I actually think I think this has helped England. Ben Stokes coming off, because I didn't see India breaking that partnership. I didn't see India breaking that partnership. Root and Stokes would still be batting now if Ben's cramp hadn't have got worse and wasn't forced off. And I think the game has gone into finishing tomorrow now, where at times when Ben and Joe were going, it was going into Sunday morning, because England would have batted on and they would have got until lunchtime tomorrow. They'd have got 350 in front, and then that would have been the game. That would have been the sort of game going into a fifth day, which I'm sure both sides now don't want that to happen with back-to-back Test matches. But it'll be interesting to see how Ben's body pulls up. And when he comes to tomorrow, he's got a big part to play with the ball. Hopefully he gets 24 more runs. He gets that 105 for in a Test match, and then goes on. For him as a captain, it'll mean a hell of a lot more special if England were to go and win this Test match and win the series here. And the 70 singles that you're talking about just tells you how hard they had to work, because, I mean, yes, Ben Stokes bowled a lot of overs and he got 5 wickets. But to have to come off with cramp, it tells you, how hard these two guys have worked.
Finally, a word about India. 2 wins in 11 tests for Gautam Gambhir as coach. And, it's not just the selection for this Test match. It's their whole approach during this series. And not just this series. It's been, I would say, conservative, Harmy. They've been reluctant to make a play. They haven't selected Kuldeep Yadav. Goodness knows why they brought him. I don't think they were ever going to select him. They're going for bits and pieces all rounders with respect on pitches that are not conducive and not helpful. And Shubman Gill's made a bucket load of 575 runs in the first 2 Test matches, over 600 in the series, but he's failed in the last 2. And I'm just not sure. India have been dominant at home for best part of 2 decades in helpful conditions that they know and are familiar with. But I just don't think they've boxed very clever. They needed to be braver, didn't they?
Yeah, a bit braver. The look at times where like leadership lacking, and that's not a dig at Shubman Gill. He's a young captain trying to make his way. Like I said at the start of this program, I ain't blaming Shubman Gill for that. His bowlers let him down. I mean, I'll blame him for picking them bowlers, but his bowlers let him down. They were poor. Gautam Gambhir, well, you lose. As long as you're winning at home, you can get away with a few defeats away from home. But when you're getting beat 3-0 against New Zealand at home, and then you've got Boda Gavaskar, then Anderson Tendulkar, and you lose both of them, because it looks like they're going to lose both of them. I mean, you're getting on a plane going back to India. I mean, tin hat job on. You're going to get pelters from everywhere, unfortunately. His stubbornness, his personality doesn't warm for anybody from the outside. He's not the sort of character, the personality who can sort of sweet talk his way out of things. He's very, he'll show his teeth. He'll snarl, and he will, if anything, he will, dig in either deeper hole or, bring the bunker even further over the top. And I don't think he can with this team, because I'm not sure how long Jasprit Bumrah's got left if you're going to keep bowling him the way he's bowling. Mohammad Siraj, I think, apart from Edgbaston, has been a real disappointment. Your debutants that have come in, Akashdeep did well for one innings, but that was it for one innings. I don't think he bowled really well after that. And your choice of, like you say, bits and pieces cricketers have let you down, because when we talk about, and we're going to say it's going to be like a broken record, they've got more runs, top order. They've got more wickets with the new ball. They've probably stats look a lot better. But as a team, you are not winning because you're not playing as a team. And you're not identifying moments when games that are winning moments as a team. And that's what Ben Stokes' team are doing. And individually, I think India are miles away from being a team. And how to rectify that? Well, you stick with what you've got and you hope that they go and get better, and you have an idea of the ones that get better. And you've seen so much cricket, Manners, that you can see that, well, if we stick with him in 10 test matches time, he's our man. Stick with him 5 test matches time, he's our man. And they will grow with this team. I mean, Cambodge, let's be fair, no chance. Krishna, 50-50, but they've made their mind up. One or two others, when you look at it, Thakur, no chance. All these players are coming in and they're not adding value to the team, and they're now going to have to go to the Oval with no Bumrah. I mean, can Siraj play another back-to-back test match? I'd be very, very surprised. Cambodge can't play. Thakur can't play. At the end of the day, what it looks like, the only people left in this country who potentially could bowl for India are the under-19s that are playing against England under-19s, and they might have to draft one of them in, because getting from India as a bowler now to come over here and get up to speed for Thursday, that could be a big ask. The only thing they could do is potentially play 3 spinners, which would be Kuldeep, but I'll be amazed if Gambhir, the character he is, the person he is, and the spikiness and the stubbornness that he's sort of made his name about, I'd be amazed if they play Kuldeep at the Oval. Because if Kuldeep does well at the Oval, they've still lost the series, and their pelters will be coming even harder. So I can say, if Jasprit Bumrah's going home at the end of this test match, Kuldeep Yadav might as well carry his bags.
Yeah, if a coach is going to bark, it's better if he has a team that can bite. So that's the situation. England will resume on the 4th morning on 544 for 7, with Ben Stokes and Liam Dawson at the crease on 77 and 21, leading by 185 runs. Very, very hard to see a way back in for India. I think they've made a lot of mistakes. England have played some extremely good cricket. Joe Root was outstanding. Yet another memorable 100. Can England finish it off tomorrow? Will India show some fight in their second innings? We'll be bringing you ball-by-ball commentary, as usual, a couple of minutes before 11 a.m. This is following on from Old Trafford, day 4.